Quite frankly, I'm shocked we've gone this far into the debate. Nobody has mentioned energy yet, so let's just bust right into that subject here. Been a lot of discussions about the role of local versus state regulation over energy, and the AG's office has been brought into that. If you are next AG, where do you view the role of authority of local governments versus the authority of the state? Mr. Weiser.
Part of where we are on energy right now, part of all the anger that's driving 112 is that our Attorney General hasn't been faithful to the rule of law or representing the people. Let's start with the city or county of Boulder, which was working on an ordinance to address oil and gas development and make sure that people are safe. What did our Attorney General's office do? Remember what I said before? She sued Boulder County without talking to them first. That undermines trust. That's not how I'm going to approach it. I'm going to make sure our office is set up to provide guidance and support on best practice, building a collaborative relationship, not an adversarial one, with local governments using the tools they can to protect people's safety so we can have oil and gas development and people can be believing that they're safe in their communities. Also, our Attorney General gave wrong-headed legal advice to the Oil and Gas Commission, thereby generating what became the Martinez case. The basic point was whether or not the Oil and Gas Commission had authority to consider the petition. It does. That doesn't mean it would grant the petition. It means that it has the authority to consider it. And by giving wrong-headed legal advice, this litigation has moved forward, raising the temperature, but not putting a lot of light on the underlying issues. That sort of wrong-headed legal advice generated this appeal and led the Oil and Gas Commission down the wrong path. I'll make sure to give the Commission the right legal advice so it takes on litigation advisedly as opposed to inadvisedly. We can do this in Colorado. This is one of the hardest issues we're going to face. How do we build trust together to allow oil and gas development to happen in a robust fashion, but in one that people know they're safe and the public health's not endangered? Right now, the energy we're seeing on both sides is a threat to our prosperity. As Attorney General, I'll work to build trust and make sure that we can have a prosperous future.
And a quick follow-up to that, when you're talking about giving advice to the Commission, do you not interpret the current law to say it is up to the Commission to decide on regulations rather than local governments?
This is important to spell this out. Local governments have a certain number of tools in memorandums of understanding, surface use agreements. You've seen Longmont do this. You've seen Broomfield. I want to make sure they know what their tools are, they use them responsibly and appropriately. Number two, on the Oil and Gas Commission front, the question was whether the Commission had authority to hear this petition. And the law allows for considerations of public health, safety, and environment, but our Attorney General said you can't consider that, you have no authority to consider it. That decision on the authority of the Commission was wrong, and it's generated litigation that's wrong. I'll make sure to give the right legal advice to the Commission so it can do its job.
Now, Mr. Brauchler. How much time, sir? 2.
All right, look, Supreme Court has said, our state law says, that by and large, these decisions about permitting and licensing, many of them are a matter of statewide concern, not local concern. There are some things that are local concern. And while I appreciate and respect that Phil can have a different opinion on what might have happened or what could have, should have been done, he's not entitled to the facts here that he chooses, because the truth is that if Cynthia didn't call the county commissioners, it wasn't because there had been no contact. Do you know there were assistant attorney generals in that Boulder case that testified in public in front of the county commissioners saying, you are trying to establish a plus 5-year moratorium on permitting and licensing and drilling that you cannot do, and if you do it, we will take you to court. Boulder ignored them. They went ahead, continued with the moratorium. The Attorney General's office sued them, not cherry-picking a jurisdiction, did it in Boulder. Boulder filed a motion to dismiss. The judge sided with the Attorney General's office, and then Boulder withdrew their moratorium. That is exactly the role the Attorney General should play in defending our laws and our Constitution. If we don't like the laws or the rules, if we don't like the COGCC, everybody in this room has the ability to change it right now. We're talking about taxing and roads and all sorts of things on our ballot. We could do that with COGCC. We have 112 on there. By the way, vote against 112, but we have 112 on there. Let me just say that you don't want an attorney general who picks and chooses the outcome that is contrary to the client, right? So when the client, COGCC, says, we want to appeal the Martinez decision, maybe it's because I'm the only guy up here that's ever had a Colorado client, but if you're an attorney out there, you know this. How many of you, when you give legal advice, hear every single time from your client, I'm going to do exactly what you said? Never. You normally hear, what's your next best advice? The issue is, when the COGCC, whether they got advice Phil agrees with or not, says, we want you to move forward with an appeal, you're either going to have an activist AG that says, I won't do it, or, as Phil has said, if Martinez is around, I would withdraw the appeal, even though it just got argued. Or you're going to have an attorney general that says, I'm not going to substitute my policy decisions for yours, and I will represent you in court. Thank you.